Hi, I'm Michaela Soroy.
I'm Marissa Soroy.
And I'm Alex Soroy, and this is our senior group performance of
Manipulation, the key to understanding.
Today, we take public relations for granted. Take campaigns such as
Just Do It.
Beef, it's what's for dinner.
Smokey the Bear.
Small Business Saturday.
Got Milk.
But there was another side to public relations, filled with manipulation, propaganda, and disinformation. By merging theories of mass psychology with schemes of corporate persuasion, one man shaped both the good and the bad of the PR industry.
Edward L. Bernays. Bernays' communication techniques are the key to understanding the mass manipulation of consumers.
I am disappointed with you. Communication from our company is key to our brand. And this is what you've come up with? You can do better. Just look at the father of public relations, Edward L. Bernays. He transformed the field from a strictly journalistic approach to one steeped in psychology. You need to take a lesson from him.
Uh-huh. Oh my god, this green dress Kylie Jenner is wearing, I need it.
Are you even listening to me?
I just don't see what this internship has to do with my career as a social media influencer.
Bernays was the one who created the idea of an influencer. He once said, if you can manipulate and influence the leaders, either with or without their conscious cooperation, you can influence the group in which they sway. Your career is just another form of public relations.
But Insta didn't exist in the 1920s.
I guess to understand the true breadth of Bernays' impact, we must first look at the changing society of the early 20th century. After an age of anxiety and modernity culminated in World War I, the masses were primed for the mass psychology of Sigmund Freud and the stearns of consumerism to merge.
Oh, Ma, I'm so glad I came to the city. I even met so many people from small towns just like me. It seems everyone's moving to the city nowadays. You wouldn't believe the crowds.
In a crowd, a man is a barbarian. That is, a creature acting by instinct.
And there's all this new technology like electric lights and combustion engines. With all this mass producing, companies are pumping out them material goods. And with this automation and industrializing, even I have disposable income.
Groups have never thirsted after the truth. They demand illusions and cannot do without them. They are almost as strongly influenced by what is untrue as by what is true. They have an evident tendency not to distinguish between the two.
That fine man, Sigmund Freud, was Bernays' double uncle. Born in Vienna in 1891, Bernays moved to New York when he was a child. He worked as a press agent and medical editor before joining the Committee on Public Information during World War I, where he was tasked with raising public support for the war effort. His experiences during the war opened Bernays' eyes to the manipulability of public opinion. Using the theories of his uncle, Bernays would proceed to change the way that businesses communicate with consumers.
But haven't businesses always communicated with consumers?
Yes, but the ad man before Bernays focused his work on the individual. Bernays perfected appealing to the consumer as part of a group. He called it the engineering of consent. He said, if you can understand the mechanisms of the group mind, it is possible to control the masses without their knowing.
Huh?
One way that Bernays engineered consent was through the use of third-party authorities.
Okay.
Did you eat bacon for breakfast?
Yeah?
In 1922, when sales of bacon were dropping, Beach Nut Packing Company hired Bernays, and he put expert testimonials to work, creating the quintessential American breakfast.
Look at this article. Physicians and health commissioners from 46 states show an overwhelming majority in favor of a heavy breakfast. It is preferable to start the day with a substantial breakfast, that is, one consisting of fruit, cereal, eggs, and bacon. Bacon? I've never heard of that being eaten for breakfast before, but I trust my doctors. Oh. That's better.
But the doctors just said to eat a heavy breakfast. That doesn't have to include bacon.
Yes, but Bernays understood the power of implication. Another communication technique Bernays perfected was the use of disinformation. Some of Bernays' most famous work was during his time with the American Tobacco Company, the makers of Lucky Strike. His first objective, get more women to smoke. At the same time he was heading efforts to cover up the health risks of tobacco, Bernays worked with admin Albert Lasker to create the Reach for a Lucky campaign, which took advantage of the growing fashion of slimness.
In 1924, only 6% of women smoked cigarettes, but now I reach for a Lucky instead of a Sweet.
This disinformation, that smoking makes you slimmer, increased the revenue of the American Tobacco Company by $32 million in 1928 alone. But in 1929, it was still taboo for women to smoke in public. Luckily, Bernays had a plan for that.
An ancient prejudice has been removed. I can smoke in the streets now with these torches of freedom. Ugh, it felt so good walking in that Easter parade, lighting up for all to see, and the press was crazy about it. Group of girls puff on cigarettes as gesture of freedom.
Yes, darling.
Well, if I'm being completely honest, a few other socialites and I received telegrams from Bernays' secretary, encouraging us to smoke in that parade. We didn't tell those pressmen that, though. The public doesn't need to know how products get in the news.
Of course, darling.
Well, if you need me, I'll be out in the streets, manipulating public opinion.
Of course, darling. Wait, what?
Making use of mass media, Bernays connected his products to relevant social trends, in this case, women's liberation. Bernays took advantage of the tendency of the group to conform to what is popular. When a trend relevant to a product wasn't already at the center of the news cycle, Bernays simply engineered his own. Take, for example, the color green.
And isn't green just the color of 1934? Have you seen the news about that fantastic green ball that took place yesterday?
Yes, it's right here. The ball derives its name from the color that dominates its motif, chosen because it is the favorite color of the season.
How beautiful those women must have looked, dressed in their gowns of vernal tones, posing as the subjects of famous paintings. I wish I could look like them, and in green, I can.
And now green is everywhere. Green suits and gowns line the windows on Fifth Avenue.
Vogue ran 2 pages of green dresses from Paris.
And every luncheon buffet is filled with green food.
You know, I used to only smoke Camels, but as a fashionable woman, these Lucky Strikes, with their trendy green packaging, are the only cigarettes I'll be reaching for.
Bernays didn't just want to sell a product. He wanted to change the very fabric of society around the product so that it simply became the most obvious choice. And his campaigns worked. The percentage of women smokers grew to nearly 40% by the 1940s, and Lucky Strike became America's most popular cigarette brand.
Isn't that manipulation?
Why, of course that's manipulation! But as Bernays himself said, any human activity can be used for social purposes or misused for antisocial ones. Joseph Goebbels, head of Nazi propaganda, was said to have been an avid admirer of Bernays. Techniques pioneered by Bernays have been clearly used in Nazi and communist propaganda. Marlon Pugh, the editor of the International News Service, often criticized Bernays, calling him the young Machiavelli of our time.
Oh my god, but I just Googled Bernays, and his techniques have been used in campaigns for the NAACP and the American Heart Association. And in the 1940s, he was the one who campaigned for the fluoridation of tap water.
I'm sure that the list of Bernays' campaigns and the impacts goes on for pages. Goes on for pages, goes on for pages, goes on for pages. Alright, while Bernays may not have created the techniques that he used, he was the one to create an industry from them, transforming America from a needs-based to a desires-based culture, from Pavlov to Freud. Bernays pioneered the engineering of consent using mass media, disinformation, and expert testimonials, the key to understanding the transformation of America into a consumer society.
You could say that he was the one who created the idea of an influencer, someone who communicates with a group of people and sways their opinions. And I mean, even today, a celebrity endorsement can make a company. Only now I guess it's more regulated. #ad.
Ideas set forth in Bernays' 20 books have been used in disinformation campaigns around the world, from international interference in elections to refuting climate change to each new fad diet. Screens bombarded with examples of Bernays' communication techniques.
And with the 24-hour news cycle and social media, there's even more potential for the engineering of consent of the public.
Public relations allows groups to communicate with and engage with the public, shaping consumer opinion and habits. Those in turn shape everything from what we eat to breakfast to what's on our social media feed. And now you're an intern in this powerful field that Bernays built, communicating with the masses, for better or for worse.
Sorry I'm late. What did I miss? Edward L. Bernays? Who's that?
Thank you.
What is that?
10